Uh, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Sunday and 26th of May 2019 from beyondarchitecturehaji.com. And this is in continuation to what we were discussing the last time, which is we discussed lines and then design. And as part of the design series, today I would like to introduce you to the topic of the process of abstraction, of value addition, so to speak, of stylization. These are the words that are used. This is very much part of the design process. And this is a process by which, it's an exercise, by which we derive a variety of harmonious designs. See, by manipulating basic shapes and forms, we are talking about squares, rectangles, circles, triangles, pentagons and so on and so forth. And if you see, most of our major religious monuments have used basic forms. You have the triangle on top of temples, gopurams, the pyramids are in triangles. Then you have the circles and the semicircles, which is Buddhist stupas. You have the cube, the Kaaba, and the rectangles and the squares and pentagons you are quite aware of. You should be aware of that, these basic forms have been manipulated. So, this process of stylization, so to speak, of process of abstraction, is not what you normally see people doing, throw a lot of different colors on paper and do something to it and something will come out. So this is not the way we are going to do things. This process involves that you use scale and proportion in all the design principles and elements involved in it. The idea could be the same, but the proportion could be different, not 1, 3, 9, it could be 3, 5, 7. So with different proportions, we try to see, expand it and we stretch the idea this way, this way, this way, this way, see how can we manipulate the form and well within the rules of design. And this is a practice exercise of using the rules of design to do something. And this specific exercise called transformation exercises, I shall elaborate in the end. And I will demonstrate that for you. But suffice to say that it has to be adhered to the rules, whatever you do, manipulate forms. So therefore, some of the things that aid you in trying to manipulate forms, make them abstract, stylize them, is you can use ideas. You can have a theme, or what fashion designers, accessory designers in the design fields and all that, they call it the mood board that you have to prepare before designing a product. Okay, and then metaphors they have been used widely as tools, as a basis to of abstraction to that form. So now you have, for example, buildings. What is the theme of Taj Mahal? Of course, it's love, right? Similarly, certain towers have been built, victory, whatnot. And then the airport, Dallas Airport, Dulles, D-U-L-L-E-S, Western Virginia, USA, or the concert hall in Australia, the flight and, the flight of a crane and a bird and wings and so on and so forth. You can look at a very famous temple complex called Angkor Wat Temple, which is based, the design of it is based on a constellation of stars. The pyramids are the 3 stars in the constellation that you see, which is very well known these days. And the shape of the pyramid represents the size of the earth. The pyramids are 43,200th the size of the earth. by size alone, I mean the dimension. It's a small scale model of the earth. So, come the mood board, you have to create a mood, you have to create a fashion product or any product, and then, you have to create a mood board saying that now this fall, my collection, I'd like to include Rajasthan, the desert state. You have the beiges and the browns of the desert sprinkled with very bright colors. So beautiful. So my summer collection will be based on this theme. So this is how fashion designers or any other designer can, use these things. Or I am going to design a center, a meditation center, or a club, or wherever you want to spend some peaceful time. My metaphor could be the Tibetan singing bowls. There are 7 bowls of different notes, sa re ga ma pa da ni, and we can go it to a grand scale, which is not very difficult. We have achieved it in here, the tombs in Golconda Fort and the tombs. So these are the things. Theme, the mood, and the metaphor are extensively used. For example, Amsterdam has been developed on the finger development. You have more open space in the middle. You have all these open spaces. So the expanding cities of the industrial West could be, living more sort of with clean air and less pollution because of those pollution industries. They try to separate the agriculture from the industry, from residential, commercial, and so on. The concepts of zoning, which are, hardly work here in India, excepting for very obnoxious industries. Other than that, we have all mixed users in India. So, garden cities, created by Ebenezer Howard in England, to again reorganize these cities so that they become more livable, workplace, home, all of that. This was the beginning of the emergence of civic rules, town planning rules, the first, shopping center, the first factory, the first night shift, the first lantern, everything, the first railway station, the first so on and so forth. I'm diverging here, but I should come back. And of course, you have we Indians here. We are, our theme, mood board, whatever you want to call it. We look towards the universe and try to live within the flow of the universe. Okay, within the flowing frequencies of the universe. Then along the way, any harmonious frequencies that you have, you try to merge yourself into those frequencies and flow, like, one of our famous architects said, I'm forgetting the name, he's a very prominent architect, Charles Correa, may God bless him. He said once that we are really, architecture is not what you can see, and so on and so forth. Architecture is something, it's an energy field to be moved through. It's an energy field to be moved through. That is architecture. That's what we say. Anyway, then you have also another aspect to this where you're talking about, having some brand value. You can have value addition. This is specifically relevant to the crafts and arts and handicrafts that we have quite a bit of it left today still in India. These crafts people in many villages, in my experience, and I have worked quite closely with them, as they produce the same item, say god figurines and some thalis or some item which you really don't need or use, and you have to just keep it in a shelf and collect dust from there. So instead of that, why can't we introduce some functionality and give a slight twist to the design? Now this is very important. Give it a slight twist to the design. The twist should be as much as that it should retain the original character of the place and the craft. You cannot go and change it entirely. So here wisdom should prevail, experience should prevail as to how much, we call it design diversification. How much of the design will you change so as to make it more useful, function-wise, and also marketable, and the craftsman can make some money and diversify his products into saleable products of the contemporary age, and so forth. So this is another way that you can involve the process of abstraction, stylization, And details of it are on my website under some category, design and architecture or maybe fashion and all that. Please check it out. There are about 35, 36 categories there. And there are lessons also to be learned, lesson plans for various design professions, for fashion designers, accessory designers, architects, interiors, landscape fellows. It's all in there. So please check out my website. And the process of abstraction is nothing new that we fellows have started doing that. You can find 100 different kinds of abstracted lotuses, elephants, mango trees, all of that, on the Indian temples here in India. All abstractions. See, it is nothing new. Fashion is not new. Please look at Ajanta Ellora, the paintings itself, and see the jewelry, see what she is wearing, look at the hairstyle, look at in detail how she carries herself, and all of that. You see, fashion was there every time, but these days slightly different. That is the topic for discussion for another video, perhaps. So, in order to accomplish some design skills, acquire some design skills, get into the practice of it. For practice's sake, we have devised, it has been there, my seniors, my teachers taught me, so I am teaching, called transformation exercises, where you take 4 different basic forms, square, circle, triangle, and a rectangle, a hexagon maybe, 5 different forms on a sheet of paper, and repeat the form in different boxes, the details of it I should be, using repetition of the same form but to a different scale. So if you have a square, okay, 1:1, or a rectangle, 1:3, then the same 1:3, you have 5 different kinds of sizes in the proportion of 1:3, small to big. And then you take those and manipulate those forms because you are already in scale. And your manipulation part will be as per design rules. So let's move on to the demonstration part. Thank you. One minor input that I would wish to give you is that you can always do this little exercise at home. Maybe you look at a flower, a nice flower. You draw the flower as it is, as it is. Maybe color it the way it is. Then you start drawing it. And so on. Suppose you have been given a problem. We have exhibitions, we have so many shows. You are supposed to design a stall for a florist in an exhibition. Stall for a florist. You have exhibitions all over the place, in malls, outside malls, inside malls, and you have to design a small stall for a florist. Florist means flowers. That is why I have taken a flower here. Now, how will I abstract this? What I will do is, normally, I'll measure this. This will be perhaps 3. I normally, the stamens will be 3, and this will be, say, from there to there is 1. So I derive a proportion of 1:3. Now, I can begin to go into the process of abstraction slowly, which is 1:3, 1:3, 1:3. So therefore, maybe a stall could be something like this. So this is 1:3. Okay, I am maintaining the proportion, and so on and so forth. Another way could be same, maintaining this, but maybe curve it a little bit. You know, you just curve it a little bit, curve that 1:3. This would be a stall, so to speak. But again, design-wise, this has got better coverage. So maybe I should modify this a little bit and make this way. So suppose you have a counter and you're serving something. Here you're selling or you're showing something. You have that. Another way is, why not try it? Inverted. Maybe develop it further by making it, maybe the big one should be on the other side. And just lay it down there, and there's your counter. As you can see, as long as you maintain, now again these look very much out. I'm supposed to maintain this and this, so I'll just extend this in that way. Extend it a little bit here, extend that a little bit. And then again, I will finally arrive at any one of these, whichever I like, just a small little shop. And it is not just like a flower as such. You need not go and draw things the way they are. You can sort of abstract them further. You can abstract them perhaps to the extreme, and so on and so forth. So this is the way you go about it. It doesn't mean that if you are going to design something for a shoe factory, that you design a shoe, something like this, very nice shoes and, Western boots and so things like that. But in some other video, I'll show you even how to abstract a shoe. You can use a shoe to abstract, and how will you make it look abstract so that it should look like a shoe and not like a shoe also. It should not look like a cobbler's shop. So with this, I finish. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. This is in continuation to the design process of abstraction. We had a small little talk before this. We did talk about abstraction, also called stylization, value addition, and so on and so forth. We did talk about this being a part of the design process to generate alternatives, to generate harmonious design patterns. Okay, these are the purposes of this. Through this we generate harmonious design patterns, or it could be forms. Now we did mention themes, moods and goals, because without any direction we simply cannot get into any sort of abstraction as such. So therefore we do have to have some idea as to whom we are designing for, what we are designing for. If you are designing for a skincare company, what kind of a theme would you give it? Or if you are designing for some corporate house, you must have a theme, either a mood or a metaphor. So themes, buildings have themes. Like, the Taj Mahal, Taj Mahal, the theme is love, right? Then there are so many, Victory Towers, these are all part of the ancient. Even today we have some of this thing. The theme of flight, flight and, wings, talking about the Dulles Airport at Redstone, Virginia, or the Opera House in Australia. Pardon the noise here. So these are some of the things, where you have used themes to work with your design. I know you have to create moods sometimes, for fashion designers, accessory designers, you have to have a mood, you have to prepare a mood board, you know. So mood board, I just imagine this time I want to think of, say, Rajasthan, summer collection, Rajasthan, the beige and browns of the desert, you know, sprinkled with beautiful colors, you know. So this summer collection, or this fall collection, whichever collection, I am going to have this as my mood board. So in my mood board, I will try to create this, whatever is on my mind, I will put it down there. So it has some basis, you have some basis to work with. Not only it's just a matter of color, but in terms of other functional elements, say from Rajasthan, what else can you incorporate into your theme and the mood board? Metaphors, of course, Angkor Wat temple, always, Angkor Wat temple in Cambodia, this is based on a constellation. Say the pyramids are based on those 3 stars, that are, in some alignment is there, all the 3 of them, So the 3 pyramids are aligned in some, 2 of them are aligned, one is slightly off. You can see that in the skies in the night, especially winter skies. And you have had in history garden cities by Ebenezer Howard, garden cities. The city was a garden, Then you had utopia, utopian cities, utopian lifestyles, Sir Thomas More. So you have all of these being used. In India, we're talking about basically, we derive everything from the universe. It is directly related to the universe. They deal with the parts of the universe. They deal with the frequencies of the universe. Finally, as I have just shown you before, it boils down to the resonant frequency. Should be the end product. So if you are designing a particular home, what are the volumes that you are going to do? Volumes of spaces, different spaces, what length, what breadth, what height, what is the height of the doors, what is the height of the windows. Similarly, in any piece of sculpture, you are using all of these design rules as you go along this. Then I will show it to you in the following exercise, a homework that you can do to improve upon your design skills. But you are trying to create basically resonant frequencies for the person who lives there. This exercise, this part is very important, which is that to generate and adhere to the rules of design when you are doing this. You have to use focus, sub-focus, proportion, scale, movement, hierarchy, and so on. Now I would like to introduce you to a small little homework exercise that you can do. Take a big sheet of paper. Make sure that these are at least 4 inches by 4 inches. Size of the paper, A2, A3, whatever you want, A2, A3. Draw these boxes evenly, 4 by 4. Leave a little bit of space in between. Okay. Now here, you put all of your basic forms: a rectangle, a circle, a triangle, maybe just a hexagon. 6-sided figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-sided figure. What you do is, I'll come down here if you can see what I'm doing over here, which is I go by design rules again. First of all, I'll cut out pieces of cardboard that I can fit into this 4 by 4. If 4 by 4 is not sufficient, take 6 inches by 6 inches also you can take, and cut out this. So the smallest could be small to fit into these squares or rectangles, or squares. And the largest could be maybe 2 inches by whatever the ratio is, or this could be just 2 inches by 3 point something, 3.12, 1, 2, 3, 8 or something like that. So that keep proportion. So the largest one should also fit into this. So you cut out these small little things in cardboard or amount, and then you start creating patterns on the next one, while keeping in mind the focus, sub-focus, proportions you already have here, balance, asymmetrical or symmetrical, hierarchy, small and big, small circles, you already have hierarchy over here through the small and big ones. So follow these design rules, create movement, and try to adjust them and just outline them and draw them up. Okay? Then you take this is being drawn on a tracing sheet of paper. So what you do is, you take another small tracing sheet of paper, keep it over this, trace it, keep it under this, trace it again on this paper, and then add or subtract. You take this one, small tracing paper, on top of this, you trace it, keep it under this, trace it again, and add or subtract. So in the corner, ultimately you will come to this point wherein you have a pattern which is basically on design principles, on design rules, and automatically, which means that it is harmonious, and harmonious things will always give you harmonious frequencies. Now again, trace the final one here. You just dealt with rectangles here. Now take this, trace it, keep it under it, trace it on a tracing. We are dealing with tracing paper. Cut a few small 6 by 6, 8 by 8 tracing sheets of paper, and have it ready so that you can trace this. Keep it under this, the second one, the circle, the third one, sorry. So you trace this over here, sorry. You trace this over here. You bring it, and then once you have those little squares and circles and whatnot, your composition, your pattern, however it is, you begin to add circles of different sizes, 1, maybe 2, maybe the third one, and so on and so forth. You go through this, and here you will have something with squares, rectangles, and circles. Okay. Again, take this pattern, come back here, trace it, and from here, now you're talking about, adding some triangles to this. So you have some circles from there. Maybe it's much more complex than this. The circles are added in, but now you're trying to add, say, perhaps triangles to this. It goes like that, maybe this way, big one, and making it a little bit more complex, and so on and so forth. And the complexity increases as you go in there. Take this one again, come back and put it here. Okay? Put it here and continue. So in the end, what you have, the same thing if you repeat here, in the end what you have is a very nice and a complex design based on a pattern, harmonious pattern. We have worked with principles. You can add to it, you can delete certain lines if you wish. So this whole exercise becomes slightly complex, and you will arrive at something which nobody has ever done this before. This is your unique design. This is the way to be creative, not just copy from some source here and there and do it. So this is the way to creativity. If you want to learn how to be creative in design, this is the way, and I'm sure in all other fields the rules must be the same. Here I have shown you about circles. Again, circles, you can cut them in cardboard. Okay, if this is 1, keep this 1.618. Then if this is 1, keep this 1.618. And if this is 1, keep that 1.618. 4 shapes, 5 shapes is enough. Cut them in cardboard so that you can keep it there and outline it. Keep it there, outline it. Keep it here, outline it, and so on and so forth. So, folks, I think I have been of some help in this matter of abstraction and stylization, and we have no way we can speak with each other as such, but I hope this will help you in disseminating design, and also emphasizing that you are designing for humans, so the human consideration must be always of prime importance, and that is why I keep talking about proportion, and I keep talking about vibrations and frequencies and so on and so forth. Thank you very much. And yes, there are a few examples that I would like to show you of the processes of abstraction, how I have myself done, because I practice what I preach. The thing that you see behind me, this is called a yantra mandali. This is supposed to bring in good luck and so on and so forth. I found it kind of fascinating, and this is the original part. This is a yantra mandal, that's all you will find. The rest of the stuff is my process of abstraction, so to speak. And I like it because it keeps your eye along there, it will not allow you to move anywhere, slightly on the edges, and then you come back into it again. So it's kind of a very attractive and very powerful geometry there. There are 46 triangles in here together. Like we were talking about patterns, remember? They have an impact on you. They generate a certain frequency in you. This is what I would like to emphasize. The way you're looking at it, you're expending energy. Energy is vibration again. So this is one example. The other one is, it's a jali of Taj Mahal, one railing of a Taj Mahal, and on that I found this. This is the original flower, the way they drew it, okay, and I just abstracted into these parts. This is not there. There's just a jali. This outline is there, and that outline is there. This is the solid part, and that is the void part. Okay, this is the railing from top to bottom. This is the railing, and this is engraved in marble. So this is how I abstracted that. Moved it away from the center a little bit. Repeated the flowers in different sizes called hierarchies. Created a movement upwards. Give it shade and shadows on the sides, and so on and so forth. Some other time we'll discuss this. But yet let me show you a few other examples. This is again a jali from Sikandar. A railing, not a railing, a grill. Okay, a jali. This is the basic geometry underlying it. I had to draw the geometry, remove the parts that I didn't want, and keep some that I want. It is to scale, and it is on a definite geometry. And you can see again manipulate how I have done from this Akbar's tomb, Sikandra, Mughal period architecture. The same jali, I have tried it in a different version. Okay, again, process of abstraction. Again, if you see these patterns do have an impact on you, you cannot deny that. They boggle your mind a little bit. They make you think and make you expend that energy, and you begin to vibrate. You don't feel it, but collectively it holds your view in place and so on. So in the process of design, these aspects are very important. Pattern, then again the process of abstraction is the amount of liberty that you can take with a particular design. You need not repeat history. Okay, you need not repeat it. The same jali you can present it this way. Okay, let's move on to demonstration.